what we're going to be doing is looking at how we can use these lights with our subject and what lighting we can create around the subject and how we can use the light to give different lighting effects. So Steve's just going to turn off the main lights for us, so we're going to be carrying on the video with just the light coming from the actual panels. We can see how much it lights and how much it doesn't light and how we can change the light. So Steve, thank you. So this is the light coming out from the panel, and this is how much light is coming out. So if we move the light closer to our subject, we can see that the light is starting to intensify on it. Now we might not want to have so much light coming down on our subject, especially when our subjects have got lighter areas, because that's going to get blown out easier than the darker areas. So you have to start thinking about how much light do I want to go onto the subject, how much light is going to be hitting the lighter subject, how much is going to be hitting the darker subject, and what effects it's going to have. So as I lower down the amount of light, so we can see what effect that is going to be having on our subjects and how much light do we want to put onto it, because these are just simple light boxes, but it's how creative you become with the light and what you can do with the light as well, which makes a big difference to how you're lighting your subject. So we can increase the light and we can lower the light down. You can also move the light away. So now what we can do here is we can have the head go into darkness and the body becomes the lighting area by actually just panning down with our light source. And so now we're lighting just this area and this head's going into darkness. Again, we can mess around and you can create some really good lighting effects with just by moving the light around, positioning it in a different place, using something else. So here I can diffuse part of the light. So don't think that you have to use the whole of this area. You can actually, if you wanted to, just start to cut off some of the light going onto the subject by putting a diffuser into it, so you can soften lighting in one area and keep the light intense in another area of the subject matter. So by just, you can control how much light is going to be falling onto the subject. We can also, as well, create lighting coming back into an area by putting in some reflective material. So here, if we take it away, see how it then goes back, and we can just bounce some light back into it. So we can have lighting coming from different directions by just reflecting light back in again. And we can do this with both the white side and the silver side. So the silver side will give us a harsher light coming back in. The whiter side gives us a softer light coming back in. And you can do this with, paper. Here's a piece of plastic, white plastic. So we can bounce light coming back into it by just having reflections. We can actually, if we use black, we can create more of a shadow coming back into the subject, so it becomes darker. So it's just a matter of moving your light around, playing about with materials. We have greaseproof paper here, which softens the light onto the subject. So to take that off, you see how harsh the light becomes. And then it becomes softer, and I can move that towards the subject and it becomes softer as well. So there it's quite harsh. So again, you can soften down the lighting. So just think about what type of lighting that you want your subject to have. So I'll go over to these ones. I'm going to turn that one off and I'm going to show you the different temperatures that we can get with these. So this is a quite cold light that we're putting onto our subject here, and then this makes it a warmer light as well. So you see the difference between those two lights, and can lower down the temperature, the intensity of the light, and how you can mess around with the light to create different lighting effects within the subject matter. So light becomes your friend. You don't have to worry about, or be scared of using the light panels and all the different lighting. Just mess around with it, and see what you can get. Now, if this was an extremely black, dark area, what you could also think about with your subject is actually moving around with light and painting light on it by doing a very long exposure. So if we were doing the exposure now on the bird, we could be in a black darkened area, room as such like that, and then we could just put on how much light we wanted to put on to the subject in different areas. So this would actually throw this area into total darkness, and it would just be the head that we was actually lighting. So this is called painting with light. So again, it's a different technique, and you can feather around and put the light wherever you want it, and be very creative with your light. So if Steve puts the top light back on for me, please. Thank you. So even these are simple light panels, and this is your subject. You can become very creative with your light and see how you can change your the light falling onto the subject, and how the light works with the subject and what you can do with it. So we'll be showing you pictures of different subjects that we've been lighting with different lighting, and explaining how we did it and what we did with it as well. So we'll be showing you those within the videos. So come along to the classes that we're going to be putting on. We're going to be running about 3 or 4 sessions just on studio lighting for the projects that you're going to be doing. And me and Steve are both going to be here, and we can work through lighting with you and show you how you can do things indoors. Or you could just talk to us and find out what you could use at home to actually create those different lighting effects. So you could do the subjects at home as well. So either in the studio, which are going to be during classroom times, or in your own time. Come along, have a chat, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much.